listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review Friday Night SmackDown from June 16th, 2023. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the SmackDown review. Of course, the main thing that we are going to be talking about is it happened. The Bloodline has officially imploded. The Bloodline is no more, as Jey Uso shows his allegiance not to Roman Reigns, but to his own brother, Jimmy Uso, super kicking Roman Reigns, super kicking Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman retreating, and Roman Reigns getting up, just being so pissed off and angry at the fact that his own cousin betrayed him, and the Usos double super kick Roman Reigns to close off SmackDown. What an ending. 3 years have been building up to all this, and now we got the full payoff. Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, has officially become main event Jey Uso. We're going to be talking about all this and much more right here on the SmackDown review. Overall thoughts on the show. It wasn't really that bad of a show, to be quite honest with you. A lot of things happened on the show that were quite hilarious, in my opinion. But if you really think about it, the main thing that happened right here on the SmackDown review was the whole Bloodline stuff. Really, the whole show was building up to the main event segment of where will Jey Uso lie? Will Jey Uso fall in line? And we all know Jey Uso did not fall in line. He chose his own path. So we're going to be talking about all that and much more right here on the Friday Night SmackDown review, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Plus, if you guys have missed it, the AEW Dynamite review is up on the channel. We talk about MJF, yes, the generational talent, the devil himself, the AEW World Champion. MJF, I feel like Excalibur right now. The AEW World Champion MJF facing off against Adam Cole in an Eliminator match, in which they delivered a pay-per-view quality match on free television. So if you guys haven't checked out the AEW Dynamite review, the link will be in the description below, as well as, of course, the Collision. Yes, Collision is tonight. As you guys are watching this video right now, Collision is tonight, and it's going to be a big deal. Of course, it's going to feature the return of CM Punk, and he's going to have the microphone at the United Center, and he has a lot of things to get off his chest, as well as he's going to be wrestling, teaming up with FTR against Switchblade Jay White and Juice Robinson and Samoa Joe. So be on the lookout for the AEW Collision review right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast coming tonight. It's going to be a big deal, a very newsworthy show, as well as, hopefully, as you guys are watching this, I've already uploaded this, but I haven't uploaded it yet. But as you guys are watching it, as this video is already up, we got an extra. We're going to be talking about CM Punk's ESPN interview dropping, and once again, how the wrestling media looks absolutely stupid. Of course, I'm talking about Wade Keller of the PW Torch literally saying that it's going to ruffle some feathers. Now, those are my words about what he said, but he basically kind of overhyped this whole interview regarding CM Punk, and the ESPN interview actually dropped, and it wasn't as bad as a lot of people were making it out to be. So I'm going to be talking about that on the extra as well. So be on the lookout for the WrestleHavoc Podcast extra when I talk about CM Punk's ESPN interview. All right. Let's get on with the SmackDown review. Overall thoughts, once again, the show was a great show nonetheless. The Bloodline, yes. What is it, SmackDown? What is SmackDown without the Bloodline? The Bloodline arrive in the building. Solo, who looks like to be the new right-hand man for Mr. Roman Reigns, Mr. Tribal Chief, opens the door for Roman Reigns. Roman comes out. Caleb Braxton, of course, is the one interviewing Roman, and Caleb Braxton has some sort of history with, of course, the wise man himself, Paul Heyman, scaring him to death. So what happens is Roman walks off and says, "Hey, wise man, your girlfriend's here." Funniest shit ever, and Roman Reigns just walks off. Caleb Braxton asks Paul Lee Dangerously himself on the status of Jey Uso and if Jey Uso is going to be falling in line. Paul Heyman gives her the look, takes a breath, and walks off. So after that, we got the WWE Tag Team Championship #1 Contenders Gauntlet match. We got 6 teams in this match. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a great match nonetheless. It went by pretty quick, and all the teams involved did absolutely great with the amount of time that they had, except for those guys at Hit Row with Michael Cole constantly shitting all over them on commentary, which was hilarious. Hit Row did not last long at all in this whole match, but we're going to be going through this match. The Street Profits and the Brawling Brutes start. Ford and Sheamus start. We get a shoulder tackle by Sheamus, followed by a dropkick by Ford. We then get a dropkick by Ford, but then Sheamus no-sells. After that, he ends up hitting the Irish Curse backbreaker on Ford. After that, Ridge Holland makes the tag. We then get the double underhook suplex by Ridge Holland. Ford then tries to fight back, but then we get the enziguri by Ford. Dawkins ends up making the tag, and he goes for repeated clotheslines. After that, Dawkins hits Sheamus with a right hand, but then we get a back elbow by Dawkins. At this point, Angelo Dawkins is on fire. After that, we get a right hand by Dawkins, followed by a headbutt by Ridge Holland. Sheamus makes the tag, and he ends up hitting the bro kick. After that, we get a cover, and the Street Profits get eliminated. After that, the Good Brothers from the OC are the next in line. Gallows goes after Sheamus. Carl Anderson ends up tagging in. We get a double team by the Good Brothers, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Once we're back from break, Sheamus tries to fight off the Good Brothers. After that, Gallows slams down Sheamus, but then Carl Anderson makes the tag. He proceeds to gouge the eyes of Sheamus. After that, Sheamus fights back. We get repeated right hands by Carl Anderson, and then we get a cover and a 1 count. Gallows makes the tag. We then get a kick on Sheamus into the corner. He ends up hitting a snap suplex on Sheamus, and then he applies the side headlock, and then Sheamus tries to escape. We then get a kick by Gallows, but then Sheamus slams down Luke Gallows. And on commentary, actually, Michael Cole called him Doc Gallows. Anderson tags in and doesn't allow Sheamus to tag in Carl Anderson. He then takes out Holland, but then Anderson turns around and gets hit with a bro kick by Sheamus. And we get a cover by Sheamus, and the Good Brothers get eliminated. Basically, throughout the majority of this whole match, the Brawling Brutes were dominating. After that, the LWO comes in, Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. For the amount of time that these two guys had, they delivered 110%. We get a double dropkick by the LWO, followed by a double somersault over the top rope to the outside. Joaquin Wilde is on the top, and then we get a shotgun dropkick off the top. Del Toro makes the tag, and then he goes to the top. He ends up hitting a moonsault, and then we get a cover and a near fall. The LWO tries to pick up Sheamus. Joaquin Wilde gets taken to the outside. After that, Holland makes the tag, and then we get a knee by Sheamus on Del Toro. Joaquin Wilde comes in and gets caught with a belly-to-belly suplex by Ridge Holland. And then Del Toro gets planted by Ridge Holland after that. And then we get a cover by Ridge Holland, and the LWO end up getting eliminated from the match. After that, Hit Row is next. Ashante Adonis gets taken out to the outside, but then we get the bro kick by Top Dollar immediately, or the bro kick on Top Dollar immediately by Sheamus. Cover 1, 2, 3. Those guys are gone. And then Michael Cole on commentary, being the asshole that he is, says this, and I quote, "Thanks for coming, Flop Dollar." You gotta love Michael Cole. After that, the final entrance. Pretty Deadly are next. Ridge Holland proceeds to work on Elton Prince, but then Kit Wilson makes the tag later on. He plants down Ridge Holland, and then we get a cover and a near fall. He then hits repeated rights on Holland, but then Prince makes the tag. Then we get a series of body shots by Elton Prince on Holland into the corner. Holland tries to fight back, but then Holland gets sent to the other corner hard. Like, he got hammer thrown into that corner. After that, Prince continues to be in control. And then we get a cover by Prince and a near fall. After that, we get a side headlock by Prince on Holland. And then Holland ends up picking him up. After that, Prince escapes and hits a chop block. After that, Kit Wilson makes the tag. We then get the double team by Pretty Deadly, but then Holland drops both men down. Holland then ends up tagging Sheamus, and then he goes after both members of Pretty Deadly. And then we get the Irish Curse backbreaker on Kit Wilson. And then he goes for the backbreaker on Prince as well. He proceeds to pick up Wilson and hits the rolling senton. After that, he slams Prince on Wilson, and then he misses the bro kick. Wilson tries to go for the swinging neckbreaker, but then Sheamus counters and catches him and hits the Alabama slam. After that, we get a cover by Sheamus, and Prince makes the save, causing the kickout to happen. After that, Holland drives Prince to the outside, but then Holland then gets sent to the steel steps, and then he gets sent later on to the ring post. Kit Wilson then makes it to the apron, but then Sheamus tries to go for the 10 beats of the Bowering. But what happens is that Elton Prince comes in, and he gets caught, and Sheamus ends up hitting the 10 beats on both members of Pretty Deadly. After that, he goes for 33 beats. Now, Michael Cole on commentary stated 30, but I counted as he was hitting those 10 beats. It was 33 beats. After that, Sheamus picks up Wilson, but then Prince ends up going for the blind tag. After that, Sheamus he ends up hitting the Celtic Cross, but what happens is he goes for the cover, but Wilson is not the legal man. What happens after that is Prince goes for the leg drop off the top, and we get a cover by Elton Prince. Pretty Deadly win the match, and in 2 weeks' time in London, England at the O2 Arena, it is going to be Pretty Deadly versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Overall thoughts on this Gauntlet match. Even though it was a Gauntlet match that was rushed, I felt like at least throughout the majority of the teams that were involved, the short amount of time that they had, they definitely showcased all the skill set that they could, especially the LWO, because they were one of my favorite teams a part of this whole Gauntlet. But nonetheless, it was a great match regardless. Pretty Deadly getting the win. I think it was pretty obvious because they are going to be in the UK, and the reaction that Pretty Deadly is going to be having is going to be absolutely insane. People need to realize the UK wrestling audience is one of the most hardcore wrestling audiences that you could ever be a part of, and they're definitely going to be showcasing that really well, especially when Pretty Deadly come out. After that, they hug it out in the ring, and then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out, and of course Sami gets the microphone and he says he feels like some congratulations are owed to Pretty Deadly, but he'll be honest, he didn't expect them to win. Nobody expected them to win. And they won. However, they won 5 minutes ago, and they are still celebrating. So they overstayed their welcome for about 5 minutes, and he thinks he speaks for everybody. Maybe they should just get the hell out of here. After that, Prince says that was really cute. He has a serious question, though. They beat 5 teams. Their hair looks drier than the mess of the man right there. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I got good hair as well. After that, he says, how dare you come out and interrupt Pretty Deadly? They call themselves the Killer Queens and the 2 tastiest snacks. Wilson then says they become the new unified tag team champions. They will stay and celebrate even longer. And then they can celebrate too and go even longer. And then when you think it's going to end, they will go even longer. After that, Sami Zayn. It's very weird. Kevin Owens is just chilled out there. And, for the past couple of weeks, Kevin Owens has been going through a series of outbursts. He's been getting pissed off lately. Sami Zayn tells Kevin Owens, you're hearing this, right? I just wanted to make sure because you've been blowing up lately. And I'm going to ask you this. Is this bothering you right now? And Kevin Owens replies, I'm trying to stay calm, but listening to them makes me want to walk up there and punch them in their stupid faces. So, he just goes off like fucking crazy. After that, Sami Zayn says, yeah, let's should do it. And then they run up to the ring. Kevin Owens immediately says, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And then he runs to the ring. Both men run to the ring, and the heels, that being Pretty Deadly, retreat to the outside, of course, building up to their match that they're going to be having at Money in the Bank. Overall thoughts, great little entertaining segment right there. Pretty Deadly. I'm not really the biggest fan of Pretty Deadly. I'm not really the biggest fan of their gimmicks, but they're quite entertaining. I'll say that about that. And they're really good in the ring. Kevin Owens, when it comes to his outbursts, I've been laughing my ass off because people need to realize Kevin Owens is not just a good wrestler. He's a great entertainer, and he's been doing that ever since, he's been a part of the main roster. Like, he's just so good at what he does, and he just makes me laugh my ass off. So hopefully they continue on with this. Is it getting a little bit over redundant when it comes to the outbursts? Absolutely, but I have no problem with it because I'm just laughing my ass off because of it. All right, after that, we got Mr. Tribal Chief Roman Reigns backstage with the wise man Paul E. Yes, I'm calling him Paul E. dangerously. And Solo Sikoa. Paulie goes for my tribal chief, and he asks Roman, have you spoken with Jay? Roman says, no. And then Roman goes, wise man, who is the tribal chief? And Paul Heyman says, you are my tribal chief. And then Roman says, when Jay is the tribal chief, people will reach out to him. But he is still the tribal chief, so he should be reaching out to him. And Paul says, that's how, very wise of him. That's very wise of him, my tribal chief. And Roman asks if he talked to Jay. Paul says, no, not since last week. And Paul Heyman just has this fucking nervous look on his face. Paul Heyman sells this shit really well. After that, Roman is like, wise man, it's not a question. I'm telling you, go and talk to Jay now. And when he said now, bro, I shit you not, I felt that in my fucking stomach. I felt that nervousness. I ain't gonna lie. But that was a great little backstage segment. Not the first, and definitely, well, it's the first, but definitely not the last. After that, we got Iyo Sky versus the LWO's Zelina Vega. Of course, Iyo Sky has been a part of Damage Control throughout the past couple of months, and they're telling the story of Iyo Sky. They're definitely setting the stages for Iyo Sky to eventually break away from Bayley and Damage Control. You guys know my thoughts on Damage Control. I'm not even going to repeat myself because you guys already know my thoughts. I think Damage Control is just not working at all. Y'all know the deal. But let's go through the match. Zelina offers a handshake. Iyo slaps her in the face. Zelina goes after Iyo Shirai. We get a bunch of cover reversals by both. After that, we get the head scissors by Zelina. After that, Iyo lands on her feet and then hits a drop kick. We then get a cover and a near fall. We then get a right hand by Zelina, and then she runs into a boot by Iyo into the corner. At this point, Iyo is on the top and stomps onto the arm of Zelina. Iyo then goes for the stomp once again on her arm, but then Zelina goes for the roll-up, and then we get a near fall. Zelina then hits a boot onto the face of Iyo, but then Bayley is on the apron. Iyo comes in, almost running into Bayley, who is on the apron. After that, Iyo goes for the roll-up, but then the referee is distracted by Bayley. Not intentionally, but Bayley is just ending up, distracting the referee. And Iyo still has Zelina covered, but the referee finally comes in. He goes for the 1 count and a kick out. Iyo then gets pissed off and argues with Bayley. That leads to Zelina taking the advantage and hitting the 619. And we get a cover, and Zelina Vega wins the match. So some tensions are brewing with Bayley and Iyo Sky, as of course both of them are going to be a part of the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and we're just going to see what happens. But it is not over with the tension between Iyo and Bayley, because something's escalated backstage as well later on in the show. After that, Bianca Belair is backstage with Adam Pearce. She asks Adam Pearce, where's her rematch? Adam says he promises, it's getting talked about, but he cannot give Bianca an answer tonight. Bianca gets pissed off and says, basically, you're telling me that I need to be patient. But no, Charlotte went along and got her rematch. And meanwhile, Bianca, she would get her rematch the right way. But now it's right or wrong, and she's doing it her way. So Bianca is acting a little bit pissed off at this point. It's not really your typical Bianca babyface type promo here. I don't want to be that type of guy, but she's sounding very heelish. Could they be gearing up for a heel turn? I don't know. There's a lot of rumors about that, but again, you really need to take into consideration, Bianca is very marketable as a babyface, so that is a major risk that WWE could be taking. It's not really that simple. If you have a likable babyface that you need to turn heel, I mean, there's some issues that you can come across, because, of course, WWE is a publicly traded company, and she's very likable in the press and stuff. But we're going to have to wait and see, man. Very interesting developments when it comes to Bianca Belair. After that, Bayley is backstage with Iyo Sky. Both women argue. Shotzi comes in and she talks about how Bayley cost her qualifying match. She asks Bayley to put her spot on the line against her. And Iyo actually covers technically for Bayley and says she accepts. Bayley gets pissed, and Iyo replies, hey, she's trying to help. After that, we got the Grayson Waller effect with Miss Charlotte Flair, who as soon as Asuka was rewarded her brand new WWE Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair's music played and she immediately came out. And you already know my reaction. I thought that was fucking stupid. Bro, they did not waste any time at all. These people were like, okay, we're giving you the belt. Let's bring out Charlotte so she can take it from you in 3 weeks or now 2 weeks. But we got the Grayson Waller effect with Charlotte Flair. You guys know my deal. I'm being serious, man. I absolutely despise talk show segments in WWE, primarily in WWE, or I should say in wrestling in general. But thing about it is I don't like the concept because of the fact that WWE does it all the fucking time. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, Bayley got her fucking ding dong hello. Grayson Waller got his Grayson Waller effect. And really, my thoughts on Grayson Waller, look, he's great as a talent, but I'm not really that invested in Grayson Waller. But we got the Grayson Waller effect with special guest Charlotte Flair. And he's like, just when we thought the Grayson Waller effect couldn't get any bigger, they're just about to break the internet. Really? I don't see the Grayson Waller effect trending. What the fuck are you talking about? Because his next guest is not only a titan of the industry, she is a living legend. Huh? An elite athlete. Huh? An absolute star. Huh? Get on your feet and welcome the 14-time champion, Charlotte Flair. Huh? Charlotte Flair comes out, and y'all know. Grayson says he's having, it's great having her on the show tonight. In 2 weeks on SmackDown in London, her and Asuka will fight for the WWE Women's Championship. And when he thinks of Charlotte and Asuka, he thinks of matches that change the industry. Okay, number one, you're making me feel old. Like, I'm 21 right now, and you guys are making me feel old. I don't feel like that was a long time ago. Jesus Christ. And number two, did they really change the industry? I mean, I was kind of pissed off when Charlotte beat Asuka at WrestleMania 34. That's just my opinion. But whatever. So after that, he thinks, of course, their matches changed the industry and raised the bar and made history. Kind of like that time she broke Asuka's undefeated streak at WrestleMania 34. That was too good. But devil's advocate. This isn't the same Asuka that she faced in the past. Charlotte asks him to ask a question. Will she become the 15-time women's champion? Charlotte says 15 times, 16 times, but since we're talking numbers, she has Asuka's number. After that, she says, you can woo Grayson, and Grayson does his woo, the worst woo I've ever seen in my life. I can't even woo for the life of me as well. After that, Bianca Belair comes out. Bianca Belair comes out and says, with all due respect, her accolades speak for themselves. But someone has to explain to her how things work around here, because she lost her title, and she was told that she was going to get a rematch, and then she didn't. And then she walks in on here, and she gets a shot. And after that, she says she didn't, and she just, gets her shot out of nowhere. So after that, she asks, is she tripping, or girl, is she tripping? After that, Charlotte gets the mic and says, hello, EST. With all due respect, she walked in and called her shot. She did not politic, and no, she won't apologize. The line starts and ends with her. But you know what? She lost to Rhea at WrestleMania, and she didn't get a rematch. So we are both owed rematches. But you know what? That's okay, says Bianca. Bianca says she tries to do it the right way. She stayed undefeated, and she tried to do it the right way. So she's just really understanding. She didn't hide for 3 months, and she, should take things in her own hands too. Charlotte asks Bianca if she thinks she ran away. She might have stepped away, but she didn't run away. If anyone knows about defeat, she beat the best, she lost to the best, but she picked herself back up 14 times. She is a champion with or without the title. And she is a champion with or without the title. Bianca says, she asks Bianca if she is a champion with or without the title. Bianca says she is the longest women's champion of this modern era. And you know what else? She didn't have to do it 14 times, so put respect on my name. And she says, you know what else? She can stand here and say whatever she has to make herself feel better. But the past is the past. The future is that since she didn't get a rematch, she will be standing ringside in her match with Asuka because she is done being patient and done playing with y'all. No matter who wins, she will stand face-to-face and call her shot because that title is coming back to her. She drops the mic and leaves. So what is going to be happening when it comes to the Charlotte and Asuka match happening in London in 2 weeks? So I remember last week coming on the show and basically complaining that Charlotte Flair immediately is granted a title shot against Asuka. And I was 100% afraid that Charlotte was just going to take that title from Asuka, because from what it looked like last week, that looked like the direction that WWE was going. But now, with the involvement of Bianca Belair, I think it's pretty obvious. With Bianca Belair standing ringside, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. They're possibly, in my opinion, this is what I just think right now, this is what I think they're going to be leading towards a one-on-one program with Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair, with Bianca Belair costing Charlotte Flair the opportunity at the women's title, which then thus kicking the program between both Bianca and Charlotte. That's what I see happening. But who knows? Maybe they can go into another direction. I love the tone that Bianca Belair is having. I feel like it's a little bit of a step into the right direction. Do I think they're going to be turning her heel? I have no idea. But if I were WWE, I'd definitely turn Bianca Belair heel because I felt like her babyface run has kind of ran its course. So I think it's time for them to turn Bianca Belair heel. But I feel like it's going to take time. Not only that, Bianca Belair is just so likable as a babyface, like outside of the realm of the wrestling community. So we're just going to have to wait and see what they do. But I don't know, man. Things are interesting. Do I think now Charlotte is going to be taking the title away from Asuka now that Bianca is involved in this whole scenario? No. I think Asuka is going to eventually retain, and she's going to go on as the women's champion. So that's that. After that, Paul Heyman, Mr. Wiseman, meets with Jey Uso. Paul says he is sorry. He's sorry he told him the truth last week, and he's sorry he was right last week. He's sorry that his brother Jimmy kicked him in the face and cost him to become the next United States Heavyweight Champion. Now, he knows that it was intentional. Jimmy doesn't miss. He has the most accurate kick aside from his in all of WWE. He meant to kick the Tribal Chief at Night of Champions, and he meant to kick him in the face last week. The jealousy, the envy on display to humiliate and victimize his own brother in front of the entire world. Jey, you do not deserve that. And for that, I am sorry. Jey says he's sorry too, OG. He's sorry that if he is in, you are still out. And Jey quietly says, I'm sorry. And Mr. Wiseman leaves, leaving Jey to prepare for what is to come later on tonight. Great stuff, man. I'm loving this shit. I'm absolutely loving this shit. After that, we got AJ Styles and Michin of the OC, Mia Yim, taking on Karrion Kross and Scarlett, a relatively short match that I absolutely did not give a single flying fuck about. After that, AJ and Kross begin. We get repeated strikes by AJ. We then get the sliding forearm by AJ. Michin tags in. Scarlett at this point is legal as well. Michin then goes for a tornado DDT, but then Scarlett comes in. What's interesting, I'm not even going to mention it, but, well, I don't know. I'm not even going to mention it. I was going to say something, but I don't want it to be controversial, so I'm not going to say it. Scarlett is legal as well. Michin goes for the tornado DDT, but then Scarlett comes in. Scarlett pushes her over. We then get the takedown by Scarlett, but then we get a cover by Scarlett and a near fall. Michin goes for the right hand, followed by a spinning kick, and then she ends up going for the release German suplex. After that, Kross is the legal man. We get an enziguri by AJ, but then Michin gets taken to the outside. Styles ends up going for the Styles Clash on Karrion Kross. We get a cover, and Scarlett drags AJ out. And then Scarlett kind of flirts and toys with AJ Styles. And AJ takes off his glove and shows Scarlett, I'm married, bitch. That is the exact words that AJ Styles tells Scarlett. After that, Michin drags Scarlett to the outside. Both women get taken down. They take each other down, actually. And once we're back into the ring, Kross applies the cross jacket, and then he goes for the cross hammer, and then he drives AJ down, and we get a cover, and Kross and Scarlett win the match. It looks like we're going to be getting a one-on-one match between Karrion Kross and AJ Styles, but I'm not really liking the direction between Karrion Kross and Scarlett. You know, I really had high hopes for Karrion Kross, but from what it looks like right now, man, Karrion Kross is just not in a good direction. He really just isn't. There's just the direction with Karrion Kross. I mean, there's just no direction whatsoever, man. No reaction when he comes out. Just nobody gives a single shit when he comes out. And it sucks because I actually like Karrion Kross. I liked the talent that he has, you know, the grandeur, everything. Bro, he looks like a superstar. And it's just not working. His run in WWE has just not been working whatsoever. So it sucks. But is this feud going to be continuing? I genuinely see that happening. I most likely see a one-on-one match happening between Karrion Kross and AJ Styles, maybe at Money in the Bank, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Roman Reigns, he's backstage. We get another Roman Reigns backstage segment. Paul Heyman comes in, and Roman is like, well. Paul shakes his head. Roman looks very pissed, but quietly, of course. Paul once again shakes his head. No. Solo then stands up, and he looks pissed off as well. And Paul Heyman runs away and gets scared. Huh. Very weird. Solo then asks if he needs him to handle this. And Roman laughs and says, easy. We still have plenty of time, you understand? And then Solo is like, whatever you say, my tribal chief. After that, we get a backstage interview with Mr. To the Moon, Cameron Grimes. Says he's been having so much fun on SmackDown. But Baron Corbin after that attacks him. And then Corbin tells him he's lucky, or his luck has just run out. So it looks like their little feud is continuing to go on. I could care less. I hope Cameron Grimes goes into a higher position later on this year because I'm actually a big fan of Cameron Grimes. I think he's great. Baron Corbin, not so much. After that, we got a Rey Mysterio segment. What's good, mi raza de Kentucky? And he talks about how he has many accomplishments in his career that he is proud of. But there's one accomplishment that he is proud of, and that is reforming the LWO. The person that he is about to introduce represents the expense of the LWO, and he has no doubt that he will become the next Mr. Money in the Bank, and he brings out Mr. Santos Escobar. Santos has the mic, and he says timing is everything. And in Spanish, he says, las cosas pasan en el momento, no antes y después. So everything happens at the moment, basically. That's what he said, because I speak Spanish myself. He says he's worked hard. There's been a lot of sacrifices for one opportunity, the opportunity of a lifetime. And when he competes for the Money in the Bank contract, he needs to tell Rey something. Gracias por creer en mí, meaning thank you for believing in me. He loves him, and both hug it out and says he inspired him, and he is fighting for him. Por mi gente, for my people, por mi familia, for my family, and por mi raza. For anyone in the WWE Uno in the universe, un sueño, one dream that has a dream, and then immediately gets interrupted by Mr. L.A. Knight. You want to see how much of a douchebag and you want to see how much of a douchebag heel L.A. Knight is? This is so great. L.A. Knight comes out. He offers a handshake to Rey Mysterio, but instead pushes the shit out of Rey. And Santos goes after him, and then we get a dropkick, but then Rey tries to go for the 619, but then L.A. Knight retreats, leading to a future match that happened when we came back from commercial break between Santos Escobar and L.A. Knight. L.A. Knight is just so fucking good. He is just so good. That was such a douchebag move, man. Yeah, I know a lot of people tend to compare MJF and LA Knight, but both are on the same fucking level as terms of just heelness. Both of those guys are just absolutely hilarious as heels, man. It's great stuff. We got Santos Escobar versus LA Knight, a relatively short match. LA Knight is in control over Santos Escobar. We got a series of knees by LA Knight, and then Santos gets taken down, or I should say Santos takes down LA Knight. Santos ends up going for the backbreaker, but then after that, Santos goes for the enziguri. He goes to the top, and he ends up hitting the crossbody, and then we get a cover and a near fall, and then he drives his knee on LA Knight into the corner. He picks up Knight, but then LA Knight slams Santos Escobar down. We then get an elbow drop by LA Knight, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Then we get a kick by Santos. Santos is on the shoulders of LA Knight, but then we get a roll-up by Knight grabbing the ropes, but then Santos rolls LA Knight up once again and ends up winning the match, beating LA Knight. So it sucks that LA Knight lost, but whatever. After the match, LA Knight goes after Santos with repeated right hands, but then Rey Mysterio comes in for the save, but then LA Knight retreats. I'm going to say this right here, right now. There's no way that Santos Escobar is going to be winning Money in the Bank. He could be a favorite, but he's not winning Money in the Bank. I think that honor goes to Mr. LA Knight because he's just going to get so over with the audience. I mean, he's already over with the crowd, but my prediction for the rest of this year is that by the end of this year, he's going to be one of the hottest acts on WWE television. So be on the lookout for LA Knight right there. Yeah. After that, Jey Uso walks backstage, and of course, we are gearing up for the Will Jey Uso Fall in Line segment. And Jey Uso's walking backstage, and he walks by Sami Zayn, the former honorary Uso. He's just sitting there. And Sami comes in. Sami just gives him the nod. Brotherhood right there. That was awesome. I absolutely liked that. Knowing what lies ahead after, you just love to see it. Absolutely loved it. But we're here for the creme de la creme, the main event segment, the segment that we all have been waiting for. Will Jey Uso fall in line? Roman Reigns, of course, holding 3 fucking belts. You know, he was awarded a brand new belt 2 weeks ago. But nah. Roman Reigns is like, fuck y'all, I'm not giving those 2 belts back to Triple H. I'm going to hold 3. So Roman Reigns is definitely flexing those 3 belts. Hilarious. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Mr. Wiseman, the scared little wise man, Paul Heyman, comes out. The Weasel, as Tony Schiavone would tell to you, Bobby the Brain Heenan, basically flipping back and forth from WCW and the NWO back in 1997. But whatever. Back to the topic. Lexington, Kentucky. Acknowledge me. That's the first words by Roman Reigns. Immediately, Jey Uso comes out. And Jey Uso has the mic. And Roman tells him he knows what the people want. They want answers, Jey. So what's it going to be? Are you in or are you out? And Jey replies, you tell me, Uso. It's either going to be him, pointing at Mr. Wiseman, Paul Heyman, or it's me. Roman then says, listen, when you're the tribal chief, you can pick anyone you want to be your wise man. He is my wise man. He's not the Bloodline's wise man. He's not Jimmy's wise man. And he's not Jay's wise man. He's my wise man, says Roman. And he's here to help him as he leads. And this is what you don't understand. He was only meant to get them to the promised land. He is meant to keep them here. You understand? He's meant to keep them at the top of the mountain. The wise man said that they started grooming him, but nah, they've been grooming him for 3 years now. 3 years of hard work and equity into you, Jey. Why do you think he is the right-hand man? Why do you think you're the right-hand man? Why do you think they put you in a position to become main event Jey Uso? Because you are meant to lead. After that, he says, you are not just yet, though, meant to lead. So the problem isn't the wise man. The problem is your brother Jimmy. So after that, he says he knows. He's been with him his whole life. They're inseparable. They are twins. But he needs to understand. And he continues on to ramble, but Jimmy Uso comes out. And Jimmy has the microphone and he says, the problem isn't your brother, Jey. The problem is our cousin. Let's get right into it. He says he's a leader, but in reality, he's using you. He actually believes this garbage coming out of Roman's mouth. Look at me, Uso, says Jimmy. You believe this over me? And Roman is just like laughing his ass off, saying, listen to you. Listen to him. They wasn't doing this 10 years ago. It took him 10 years to get to WrestleMania since he's been with him. He main evented every single one. Jimmy's the anchor. Roman's the wings. He lifted him up, and Jimmy just drags you down. Jey has a great future. You're next in line. You're the next tribal chief. But guess what? You can't be the tribal chief and a twin at the same time. So go on. Let him beg and plead and give the brother love, but he can put on a mask. But the reality is, and he continues on, but he's like, nah, wise man. When we named Jimmy the right-hand man, who was the only one who had the problem with it? It wasn't the wise man. It was his suggestion. Jay then looks at Jimmy, and Jay looks pissed at Jimmy. And Jay asks Jimmy, if that's true, were you always jealous of me? And he tells him to look at him, and he says, is it true? And Jimmy says, it was true, man. And Jay's just pissed off. And Jay says, wait a minute. This whole damn time, you've been doubting me. Jimmy says, he never doubted you. But then Jay's like, no. He expects that from Roman, but not you, Jimmy. Let me guess. You know what's best for both of them, right? Big brother, right? Listen to your older brother, Joshua. That's all I heard growing up. You know what? Me and him have been competing against him when in reality, he tried to keep up, or I said I try to keep up with yo ass. Mr. Prom Prince, Mr. Prom King, Mr. Player of the Year, most likely to succeed. Hey, guess what? A blessing in disguise. He got hurt, and I stepped up. He main evented SmackDown. He main evented pay-per-views, and he main evented WrestleMania. You know why? Because he's the right-hand man, main event Jey Uso. I'm the right-hand man, main event Jey Uso. And it's all because of Roman. So guess what? You out. We got a slow pause. You out. And I'm out too. And he fucking swerves the crowd. Jay super kicks the shit out of Roman Reigns. What the fuck is going on? Solo has that look on his face like, you son of a bitch. What the fuck did you just do? After that, the Usos super kick, or I should say Jimmy super kicks Solo Sikoa. After that, the Usos go for the double super kick on Solo Sikoa. Roman gets up, and he's just so fucking angry at this point. And then the Usos hit the double super kick on Roman Reigns. And the show ends. And the Bloodline is officially no more. 3 years. 3 years since August, or I should say September of 2020, this story was building up. And I've been saying this for months, ever since Sami Zayn got excluded out of the Bloodline at the Royal Rumble this past January. The catalyst of this whole story is Jey Uso. What have I been saying for the past couple of months? They've been telling Jey Uso's story for the past 3 years, and look where it led to. It led to Jey Uso not falling in line, but it led to Jey Uso following his own path, kicking Roman Reigns in the face, and no longer being a part of the Bloodline and going on his own alongside his brother Jimmy. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fucking story. Absolutely amazing. I was speechless. I marked the hell out when I saw this. It was just, I constantly use the word, this is storytelling at its finest. And I know I've been repeating myself because that's all everybody can talk about when it comes to the Bloodline. Storytelling at its finest. But god damn it, I'm going to say it right here and right now. This shit was storytelling at its finest. This shit was building up for 3 years. 3 years, because this whole Bloodline story, starting with Roman Reigns ever since he turned heel, ever since he made his fateful return at SummerSlam, and a week later, joining up with Paul Heyman and winning his title, Jey Uso was the one that did step up. He was groomed for this position, and look where it got him. Jey Uso officially becomes main event Jey Uso from here on out. Now, where would this lead to? I talked about this before. When Jimmy Uso superkicked Roman at Night of Champions, I thought, hey, what if we get a match between Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso, not Jey, Jimmy, at Money in the Bank? Could that happen? Maybe. But in the position that we are right now regarding Jey Uso finally finding where his allegiance lies, instead of having a title match, I see a title match with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso possibly happening at SummerSlam. Because, newsflash, at this point, it is not going to be Cody. Cody, they're going to wait that shit all the way until WrestleMania of next year. But could the discussion happen of Jey Uso getting so hot to the point where everybody is wanting him to defeat Roman Reigns for the undisputed title? Who knows? But what could we be seeing at Money in the Bank? We got a pay-per-view in London. My prediction, we're going to be seeing a tag team match. We're going to be getting the Usos versus Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. And the story is just going to get escalated further and further and further and further and further. That's what I see happening. But I may be totally wrong. But I definitely do see a match, a one-on-one match happening with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. And it could be a scenario that Jey Uso gets so hot with the audience to the point where the audience is like, you know what? The true guy to beat Roman Reigns is Jey Uso. Now, am I saying is he going to be the guy to beat Jey Uso? No, that guy is going to be Cody. But we don't know where Cody's going to lie by the end of this year, and we don't know where Jey Uso is going to be lying by the end of this year. But my prediction is we're going to be getting that one-on-one match between Jey and Roman at SummerSlam. But this shit was just pure perfection. I loved this segment. The crowd was just fully invested in what they were watching. You know, just fantastic. I loved the swerve as well, man. The swerve with Roman, with Jey Uso just bickering and just pissed off at his own brother. And then after that, he's like, you out and I'm out too. That is what you call a swerve. That was fucking amazing. I loved this closing segment. And I constantly stated this when it comes to the Bloodline every week on SmackDown, every time when we get these Bloodline segments. But when it comes to the Bloodline is not only going to be talked about for, you know, the next how many years, but this storyline itself is going to be talked about for years to come, for decades to come. Literally, be grateful for what you got now, because we're possibly never going to get a storyline like this again. This was fucking amazing, and this was beautiful to witness. Absolutely just phenomenal stuff. I loved this shit. Just pure perfection at its finest. WWE should give themselves a pat on the back. You know, I always criticize WWE. You guys know me ever since I started this channel 2 years ago. I've been criticizing WWE for their creative process. But this is one of those stories that you just can't criticize, that you just got to sit back and relax and just be like, you know what, man? This shit, they're onto something, and they're onto something special, and fans are going to be talking about this for years to come. This was absolutely amazing, and I'm 100% down for it. The future is definitely bright when it comes to the storyline, and that's all I got to say about that. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from June 16th, 2023. We definitely talked about a lot of Bloodline stuff on this podcast, but hey, man, that's the core thing with SmackDown. SmackDown is the Bloodline show, and it's only going to get better from here. But overall, this was a pretty good SmackDown show. Of course, it was all Bloodline related, but the other stuff that happened on the show, not bad. Forgettable, maybe, but not bad. Overall, great stuff. The Bloodline stuff, I enjoyed it. And really, that was the only thing that I enjoyed. But everything else that happened on the show, not as bad, but primarily forgettable at the end of the day. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from June 16th, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications. I'm on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And, as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky Derez, signing out. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the WrestleHavoc Podcast Extra on the CM Punk ESPN interview, as well as the review for the premiere episode of AEW Collision. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.